So you're thinking about using your San Francisco agent to buy in the East Bay. I'm going to tell you why that's a really bad idea, and I'm going to start right now. Hey guys, Hans Struzyna with the Gunderman Group at Keller Luxury International coming to you with another video. This time I'm talking about why you should not use your San Francisco agent to buy in the East Bay. Now, of course, there is always an exception to every rule, but by and large, I'm telling you, this puts you at a deficit and it doesn't serve you for a number of reasons. And I'm going to get into that here in just a second. If you get value out of this, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I am going to continue to bring out weekly content just like this, and you're not going to want to miss it. So thanks in advance for that, and without any further ado, let's get into it. So I've made a pretty bold claim there in the title, and I want to back it up. So here is the deal. First and foremost, reason you should not use a San Francisco agent to buy in the East Bay is they use different contracts there. San Francisco is the one group, one MLS group that uses different contracts. They use their own San Francisco specific contracts. Those agents know that contract very well. That is why whenever I get someone who wants to buy in San Francisco, I definitely refer them to a couple of key people who are really quality over there. However, because they're so versed in their way of doing it and their way of writing contracts, they are not versed in the contract we use over here in the East Bay, which is the standard California purchase agreement. Now, that's important because there are certain loopholes and clauses and ways of going about filling it out to protect you as the buyer, as well as set up your purchase in a way that makes sense for the East Bay that many of them don't totally understand. Just like I wouldn't understand their way of doing it and their loopholes in the contract. So if you are at all concerned about writing the contract properly, make sure that you find someone in the East Bay who knows it well, and your San Francisco agent should be able to refer you to someone with that skill. All right, the second reason is pretty obvious and probably where most people thought I was going to start, which is the local knowledge. If you're over in San Francisco, as you know, there are a ton of micro neighborhoods inside the bigger neighborhoods. The same thing is true in the East Bay. We're built on a hill, we've got water all around us, and things change very, very quickly here. So you could find yourself on the wrong side of the street pretty quickly, or overpaying because you technically are in a zip code for Piedmont, but you're actually really in a part of Montclair, and your price per square foot changes drastically. And if you don't know where that boundary is, you could be in pretty big trouble when it comes to actually writing that contract. So having the local knowledge of the neighborhoods, as well as all the coming soon and off-market inventory, and then the historic inventory as well, what something sold for, what the current condition of it was, did it have a big pest report, why did it sell below the rest of the comps, or why did it go above? Having that knowledge so that you can make a really intelligent and informed offer is critical when you're starting to compete in some of these neighborhoods here in the East Bay. This one is something that a lot of people don't think about when they're talking about hiring an agent, period, but it's their network, specifically their network of vendors, inspectors, tradespeople, that sort of thing. If you've got a network based in San Francisco and people who know those codes, those logistics, those types of houses, that's perfect for if you're going to buy in San Francisco. However, if you're going to come to the East Bay, you need to know inspectors, contractors, tradespeople who will come help you make an informed decision, help you price something out, help you know what's typical, what's not typical when you're actually going to make an offer on a house over here. So wherever you're looking, make sure that your agent has that local connection and that local network that they can pull on for you depending on what kind of house you're trying to buy and what questions that you're trying to answer. This is kind of a big one, and this has more to do with the agent-to-agent relationships, which are really critical, especially when you're trying to put a big deal together. So it's the customary ways of doing business. Now, I said that the contracts are different, but there's also different ways of splitting up things like the closing costs and the escrow fees and the transfer taxes that are typical for our market here in the East Bay that are different from the way that things are done over in San Francisco. Now, when you put an offer in with your San Francisco agent and the listing agent sees, okay, I've got this San Francisco agent who I don't know, I've got someone from the Gunderman Group, I've got someone from Grubb, I've got someone from Red Oak, all these people that I know pretty well and I'm familiar with, they're going to relay that to their client and say, okay, the San Francisco agent has a pretty good offer, but they don't really know our customs or our way of doing things. I think the escrow may be a little less smooth than, let's just say, one of these people from Red Oak or Grubb or wherever who knows the customs, knows the expectations, and can give you a smoother escrow. And even if they say it like that, the seller is going to be thinking, okay, you know, apples to apples, I'd rather have the smoother escrow. So I'm going to lean in probably towards the people who know what's going on. Not to mention that if you're writing an offer and then there's a lot of little terms and cleanup and that sort of thing that needs to be done, it just makes the negotiating a little bit more ticky-tacky and a little harder to get you into escrow. Not saying it can't happen, just saying it's just another stumbling block that you should probably remove before you go write that offer in the first place. So I'm going to round it out with this one, which is huge. It's really important. You should absolutely be aware because it will cost you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars if not done correctly. Every city in the East Bay has its own point of sale ordinances. I'm going to throw another video out later about those specifically so you can know what to look for. But you just have to know things like the sewer lateral ordinance, the gas shutoff valve, the sidewalk compliance, the Bezo up in Berkeley. There are all these different city-specific ordinances of things that have to happen to the property either before it sells or very shortly after. And if your agent doesn't understand what those are, what the costs are, how to bid them out, how to fill out the contract so that you take responsibility for some and the seller takes responsibility for the others, or whatever the case may be, you could easily be on the hook for thousands or sometimes, like I said, tens of thousands of dollars of work if you weren't aware and informed to make that decision up front. So again, the way that the local point of sale ordinances flow to the buyer or to the seller, critical and very expensive if done improperly. So there you have it, 5 reasons why you should use an East Bay agent and not your San Francisco agent. I can tell you personally, when I've had a few clients who've moved over to San Francisco or other areas that I'm not familiar with, I go find them an agent who is familiar, who's a top performer and can get the job done for them in that market because I know I'm not going to serve them well, and I think you should expect the same from the relationship. That agent, of course, can collect a referral fee from sending you over, so financially they'll be taken care of for sending over the business to the other agent. Just make sure you have that conversation up front. You talk about the 5 things I brought up because it's really critical to your success. If you got value out of this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel because I am going to continue to put out weekly content just like this, so make sure you don't miss a single minute of it. And without any further ado, I'm going to log it off. So this is Hans Struzyna with the Gunderman Group at Keller Williams Luxury International signing off for now. See you on the next one.